2 hours a day is dedicated to language arts, half of which is to read novels. So they get an hour a day where they're reading novels while they're here. And it's a very structured, organized program called Foundations and Frameworks. I can't tell you the amount of children that will come up to you and tell you, that's the first book I've ever read, cover to cover. And when kids are reading 12 to 18 novels a year, cover to cover, especially in junior and high school, where kids will come in most of the time 3, 4, 5 years behind in reading on their SAT. And no one has shown them that they can read. And I love this program, you know, and I had Bill Plott, who writes for the Birmingham News, called me one day and he said, God, this is incredible, what's happening at your school and the stats, and I'll share some of those with you. He said, well, how does it happen? How can we make this happen elsewhere? And I said, well, you know what? At the end of the day, it's about your people. Because it is teacher intensive. If you are my 8th grade language arts class, I can't pass out one novel. Because I got someone over here, pick on Mr. Montgomery, who may be on a 4th or 5th grade level. And I may go over here, and Matt might be on a 8th grade level. I got to pass out something that he can read and something that he can read, something that will challenge him. So I've got 3 novels going at one time. Guess who has to read all those novels? Guess who leads discussion in those novels? So I can't act like I'm reading those novels. Neither can the child, by the way. I've confessed to you, Birmingham Southern folks, I was an English major at Birmingham Southern, and I learned how to read the first couple chapters, the last couple chapters, do a little research in the library, and act like I knew what was going on in class. Don't share that testimony with the students here. You can't fake it, though, because you're going to be held accountable that day for what you've read. It's really phenomenal what we've seen. One quick story that I'll share on this, because it just personifies what we're endeavoring to do. Ben Carson, some of you may know that name. He wrote a book called Gifted Hands. Great read. I was looking for it today. I've lost my copy of it. I'll get another one. But this young man, fatherless, dad abandoned him, I think, when he was 8 years old, tells that heart-wrenching account at the beginning of the book. He was headed downhill. He was known as the dummy in his 5th grade reading class. That was his nickname. And he said everything he was doing was just validating that. And his mom, this hero of a mom, said, 3 programs a week on television, and you're going to read 2 books a week, and you're going to write me a report of what you've read. To him and his brother. Dropped him off at the library. They begin to do this. Shows up to class one day. Teacher holds up a rock and says, what's this? And Ben looked around, and Ben raised his hand, and that teacher just talked about she did not want to call him Ben Carson, because this was going to be the comedic moment, right? But the students loved it. She called him Ben. Ben said, that's lava rock. And he began to tell how that was produced. He had been reading about rocks at the library. He just said a bulb went off. If I can do this in reading, I can do it in science, I can do it in history. This is the chief neurosurgeon at Johns Hopkins. This is no dummy. Brilliant, full of potential, but someone had to get in his corner, hold him accountable, and tell him, you can behave. You can learn. His mom told him years later, I never read any of your reports that you wrote. I was functionally illiterate. I couldn't read. Fooled him all those years. But that tremendous change and seeing that lived out in the hearts and lives of young people here is unbelievably rewarding. Not just their ability to read. They track reading comprehension skills through every novel using graphic organizers in a journal. It's very technical. But to see them love reading, can I take this to the playground? Can I take this book home over the weekend? And also their ability to read. I'll share some stats on that and how we've seen that play out. I've already alluded a little bit to the math emphasis. Also very important, we have a wonderful math program in a general math that pre-tests kids on the computer, individualizes a curriculum, grades that curriculum, and then bumps them up so we could teach 6 or 8 levels in one class, and everything to an AP Calculus class. So that's also part of our curriculum. Some of the things that we've seen over the years. This is, the last 5 years, seen children advance 2 years in reading comprehension and math in 1 year's time. That's the average, and there are many that are going above that. Last year, all of our seniors tested post-high school in reading and math, except one girl who was only with us first semester that tested 11th grade 6 month in math. And this to give you a couple of personalized stories. You saw this young man standing up. I think he was about right here. His name is DQ, his nickname. And I'll share this with you because he's given me permission to share it. And his mom's given me permission to share it, which is such a blessing. The reason they've given me permission to share it is because they realize how important it is for people to know what's going on. DQ's dad is in prison, and DQ visits him and loves to send him video footage of what he's doing in athletics. But I'm telling you, that curse of incarceration and fatherlessness is going to be broken in the life of DQ. I believe that. He came to us, and let me tell you, he's a phenomenal athlete. He made a tackle this year that we have on tape that reminded me of Carlos Dansby. I mean, he reaching, jumping over someone, tackling with one arm. He went to the Urban Meyer camp. That was his dream. Coach Coker got him there this summer, and the receivers coach pulled him and another young man aside and said, I want to do a personal workout with y'all because you're the two best in your class. So I'm not being dramatic, but his mom at one point wanted to pull him. She said he just won't get the exposure at Little Old Restoration Academy. And we said to her, he's got to reconcile this world. He's got to get it academically. And when we looked at his scores from this past year, he started the year there, 6th grade level, okay, in reading. Look at the end of the year. That's 10th grade. That's 4 years and 2 months in 1 year. In math, 8th grade to post-high school, 4 years and 3 months in math. Full of potential, bright. Someone holding him accountable and pushing him to reach his full potential. I pulled him in the office. This was months ago. I'd just seen these scores, and I was so elated, and I pulled him in and I said, I want to congratulate you. And I'm convinced he thought I was going to talk about his touchdowns from the last football game. I said, you're reading and math, son. There's hope for you. There is genuine hope for your future if you keep doing this. And pray for DQ. I'm just so excited. He did go to, that's not a cardboard cutout.